Okay, so we're going to do another couple problems from our word problems today. These are tough. They're not easy, right? So number 37, we did this previously, the airplane problem, and the previous problem asked for the altitude and things like that. But 37 asks a dumb question. Sorry. It asks what this x1 is right here, and we actually found that in the previous paper. So here's my answers from last time. It found that x1 was that 10,946, and so we already did that one. So 37's already done. Just so you know, a better example, a better question would have been to find like this x3 right here. So that would be the direct distance from the airplane from the angle of depression of 11 degrees. Anyway, so let's just look at that one really quick. That's a law of sines problem, because I know that this angle right here was 164. That's from the previous problem as well, from number 36. And I know that x1 was the 10,946. So if I do a quick little cross multiply, I get that x3, this one right here we're looking for, would have been 10,000 times the sine of 164 divided by sine of 11 for 15,812. So that would have been a better problem, but either way, we already did number 37 on the previous problem here. So let's look at number 38 through 41. So this is a ski lift problem, right? So there's this mountain right here, and the ski lift goes up from P to Q, and something like that, right? And then there was another one from R to Q, and they took these angles of elevation here, 25 here and 15 there, and there's 1,000 feet apart. So numbers 38, 39, 40, 41 are all these problems here. So x1 would be the direct distance there, x2 would be the angle, x3 would be this direct distance, and then the x4 would be the height, elevation of the whole thing. So I went about it and found x2 first. I actually found number 39 first, because that's the angle. So this is supplementary angles. So I have to take 180 minus 25 to get 55 as my answer there. That's the angle RPQ, which is this obtuse angle right there. So that's actually number 39, all done. Because of that, I wanted to find out, this is 155 and this is 15. So what's this angle right there? Well, it's 180 minus those two angles to give you a 10. So this is a 10-degree angle right there. So now that we have the three angles in that little tiny sliver of a triangle, but I can use the law of sines now, because sine of 10 over 1,000 and the sine of 15 over x1, right? So there's the sine of 10 over 1,000 equals sine of 15 over x1, and that's perfect law of sines problem. So I cross multiply, divide by the sine of 10, and I get 1,490. So that's the distance from P to Q. Well, what about the distance from R to Q? Let's do this law of sines again. So law of sines again, sine of 10 over 1,000, that's the given one, that's the nice one. And then we'll do sine of 155 over x3. All right, so that's going to be our next one. Cross multiply, solve for x3, and I get that this direct distance was 2,433. Right? And then the last problem was this x4, which is the altitude. So it's going to be a basic SOHCAHTOA problem. And I see this sine of 25 is opposite over hypotenuse. We already found that x1. So here's our sine of 25 is x4 over x1, opposite over hypotenuse. And then I plug in what I do know, x1, and I cross multiply, and I get my 629 to be my height. How'd you do on that? Did you understand that? Last problem here is 42 through 45, and maybe I'll just go halfway this time. So I'm just going to do one problem, and then we'll see how you guys can do the rest of it. So let me do the first two, you guys do the next two. So I have it here, but I'm not going to show you. Anyway, so I see that in 41, it was asking for the, 42, sorry, it was asking for the height of the airplane. And then 43 has the direct distance here, and then 43 with direct distance there, and 45 was the angle of depression there. So I'm going to do the first two. So first of all, we got to figure out what some angles are here. So this is 40 degrees, this is 30 degrees. So what's this angle right there? And I had to first find that one, which is 105 degrees. Now I know the sine of 105 over 1,000 is the law of sines, right? Now we can figure out, let's see, which one is this going to be? Oh, I wrote out some hints for you. So the sine of 105 1,000 is equal to sine of 40 over x3, which is the sine of 35 over x2. So let's see, which one do I do first, and you guys do the rest. Oh, I did them together. Whatever, let's just do it all. All right, here we go. So I cross multiply and solve for x3, and I cross multiply, solve for x2. So basically I'm using this equation with this one here, and I cross multiply. So 1,000 times sine of 35 divided by the sine of 105, and I get my two answers there. So one of them is 665, and one of them is 593. And then the last one, it's just a, what am I doing? Oh, I actually wanted to find the height of this thing. So the actual height was the important part. So now that I found these two sides, I can use the basic sine function to do opposite over hypotenuse, or you can do this one, opposite over hypotenuse, whichever one you choose. I chose to do 40 degrees, so the opposite is going to be x1 over x2, which x2 was this 593. So I put that in there, cross multiply, solve for x1, and I get the height is 381. Cool. And then the last problem, 45, asked for the angle of depression. And so if the airplane is flying this way, what's the angle of depression? Well, this thing is 40, this thing is 90, and that means this one right here is 50, 90 and 90, and then that means this is 40. I don't have to do much there, right? So here's my little triangle I made. So 50 there, 40, 90, that adds it to 180, and then that means this has to be a 90 also, so 50 and 40. I think there's a alternate interior angle, something like that from geometry, but there's my angle of depression. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's 8 minutes long. Sorry about the long video, but just showing you how to do some of these word problems. They're kind of tough.